It's time for Justice for All, Behind the Badge video, streamed live from Team Toyota Route 1 in Langhorne with your host, Tom Mellon, featuring Bucks County District Attorney Matt Weintraub and Bucks County Sheriff Fred Herron. Here's your host from Team Toyota, Tom Mellon.
Good morning. Here we are, 10 a.m., bright and sunny day here in Bucks County. 746 East Lincoln Highway, which is the proud sponsor, Paul Muller, with Team Toyota for Justice for All, with my good friend and your friend as well, Matt Weintraub, the Bucks County District Attorney. Matt, always great to have you.
Thank you.
It's always good for me to spend an hour with you.
It goes quick.
As busy as you are, I mean, just to captivate you for an hour and let the listenership understand what your facets, your responsibilities are. So tell us what you've been doing for this hot summer so far over the last few weeks.
Trying to stay cool just like everybody else, but you hit it on the head when you say like it's important for us to talk to the public, even if it's just for an hour. As district attorney and frankly in any area of public service, a lot of times what people are doing to protect their communities goes unnoticed. And it's almost like if a tree falls in a forest but nobody's around to hear it, doesn't make a sound. And I'm a big believer in being not only the top law enforcement officer here in Bucks County, but to be a cheerleader, an encourager, practice transparency, and to make sure that people know of all the good works that their police, their fire, their EMS, their first responders, including 911 police radio, are doing to keep them safe. So one of the highlights that I've had in the past couple of weeks, and this was a marathon, there was National Night Out, which from the name you can't really tell, Tom, but what it is it's a night for all first responders to set up out. Usually it's in front of their police station or their municipal station, their municipal building, and they set up all the police come out, the ambulances, the fire trucks, the police vehicles, and it's a good opportunity for the public to meet the people that are serving them and protecting them.
Sure.
And as you know, Bucks County is huge. There's 39 police agencies in Bucks County, and it's about 625 square miles. So
it's a lot of ground for you to cover.
Well, and I'm getting to the point where I have to either clone myself, which I'm not looking forward to, or I have to really just divide my time. And what I try to do, because this is an annual event, and the good news is Bucks County, I think was last Tuesday, we had 8 of them, is I try to hit as many as I can. Usually they run 3 hours, 2 or 3 hours, so I'm in my Batmobile and I'm cruising from here to there to there. And last Tuesday was so hot, but I didn't even have time to go home and change. I just took my tie off, took my coat off, and rolled my sleeves up.
Roll the sleeves up.
But you want to show not only the public, but you want to show the police and the fire and the EMS that you're there for them too. That you are the tip of the spear, the welcome wagon, whatever euphemism you want to put.
Sure.
And it means an awful lot to them if you show up to their events. So last Tuesday I hit 4 of them, and I know sometimes people are like, "Yeah, but you didn't come to ours." Well, I'll get to yours next year. I'll get to them. Of course. I try to rotate them, and it's just a wonderful. This was a great night because you can really see. There's been some, I'll say, like a misperception that police, and this was a couple of years ago, that police were the enemy or weren't doing their jobs or something. And I never believed it for a second.
Of course.
But what I could tell you, unequivocally, going around to these 4 different locations all around the county, is people love their police here.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, it was affirming for me because you worry about that national perception. But I think that was momentary, and frankly, Tom, I think you would agree with this. If somebody does wrong, if they break the law, it doesn't matter whose shirt you wear, it doesn't matter if you have a badge on your chest or not. There needs to be accountability. But going to this National Night Out last week in all these various locations, I hit Doylestown, Buckingham, Morrisville, and Falls. So,
Wow, that's around.
yeah. I just
sure.
didn't. I got to get north a little bit, and I
Of
will
course.
next year.
He will be there.
Yes, I will. But it was so gratifying to see the little kids holding the police in high regard, seeing the police interact as regular people, but in uniform with the communities they serve, and frankly, they were just great events with food and water park slides
Probably
for
some
some of the
music,
kids.
a little music in the background.
Just wonderful. So really makes you feel good to be a part of the community, and that's some of the stuff that I love that's not necessarily in my job description,
Yes.
but I think it's some of the most important work that I'm able to do is to get out there in the public, let the public know that I'm a real person, that our office is always there, always working. My old boss, my mentor, Dave Heckler, he said 90% of success is just showing up.
That's true.
Letting people know you're out there.
And you care. And the
Yeah.
sincerity is there.
You got it. You got it. Listen, there's a lot of things we all could be doing every night, but I do spend a good deal of my time going around to various events, whether it's down in Croydon for a food drive or to talk about drug recovery, you name it. If somebody calls me and I'm free,
Yeah.
I try to make it.
Yeah, you're always there.
Yeah, I tried to.
Yeah. And so many different responsibilities that the district attorney has accountability for. We're going to talk later about some of your departments, some of the tactics that are used, so many neat things that
Yeah.
people need to hear about and they can understand and learn a little bit more as to what goes behind the role of a district attorney, especially in a big county such as Bucks.
It's interesting, and I may have touched on this. Gosh, months. We've been doing this a long time now,
Yes,
Tom. But
yes.
so when I first graduated law school, I was almost certain I wanted to be an assistant district attorney. It just always appealed to me. I wasn't in it for the money, although I get paid pretty well to be the district attorney. Don't get me wrong.
I don't think it's enough.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, tell the
My God,
bosses.
the responsibilities are just enormous.
Yeah, but so I used to think they are. So I used to think when I came out of law school, I had an oversimplified view of what my role would be, and it was so if somebody asked me, well, what do you do as an assistant DA, and I would say, without thinking about it, lock up the bad guys.
Sure.
And that's true, of course.
That's part of it.
We got it. That's part of it. So, in illustrating with some of the cases that we've discussed over the months, the past months, justice takes many forms. And if you remember, I think we talked a couple months ago about the case where I had approved the charges for this one home invasion robbery suspect, and it ended up not being him.
I remember you talked about that, yes.
And we ended up dismissing the charges, and we found out years later it really was not him, which I felt grateful for. So then my view of it expanded, and it was not just lock up the bad guys, although that is a part of it to keep people safe,
Yes.
but to seek justice in any form. And sometimes that means letting somebody go, whether it's the Chicken Man, if you remember that story.
I
who
remember it
shot
well.
the two guys.
Yeah.
Or this one young man who, even though the evidence pointed to him, it was mistaken identity or giving somebody a break, a second chance. So that was justice takes many forms. And since I've been the DA, which I have been since 2016, my concept of my job has evolved even further. And that is, I now think that it encompasses way more than that, and that is to keep people safe, public safety. And another part of keeping people safe is letting people feel safe.
Yes.
And the only way to let people feel safe is to keep doing shows like this.
Yes.
To promote police's good works.
Informing everyone, right?
Yes. And also to make sure that people know what resources are out there if they have a problem.
Wow.
To prevent them from them or a neighbor or a friend or a relative from going down the wrong path. And to showing our young people, because really you got to get to them while they're young, these positive pro-social alternatives, sports, music, art, church, you name it. And so maybe I've taken on more than probably most district attorneys, but I really feel like this is what I'm meant to do.
Matt is not behind the door. He's outside, and he has a wonderful staff committed for the responsibilities that were endowed by you to keep this county safe and effective. And I think you're right what you're saying. That being out there with the public and having them understand that there's so much that goes on to keep this county safe, and with the contiguous areas, the counties that surround Bucks County, your communication skills with, other officials, not only in Bucks County but on the exterior. So there's so much that goes on, and once again, Matt's door is always open for many reasons and purposes. And as you'll learn from this show, and I'm going to shut up in a minute because we're only on for an hour, but you will learn much more about the effectiveness of what Matt's responsibilities are as a district attorney, because I have all the questions. And I don't have the answers, but Matt does.
I hope.
That will make you feel safe and secure. We want to thank Paul Mellon, obviously a veteran of ours, a veteran of this country, that he just altruistically, constantly, he's out there allowing shows like this so that we can educate.
He's a great partner.
Yes, I'm saying you can educate, and all of your team educates when we bring them on from time to time.
Yeah, we've had quite a few of them. I think I'm still working out the kinks, but maybe in a couple months I might have a good special guest for us.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to commit yet, but I spoke to this gentleman yesterday, and he expressed a lot of interest. I think people will love to hear from him.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's a teaser there.
That's a teaser. And really, people, you need to listen. WBCB 1490. Bree's here, our engineer, does a splendid job, doesn't she, Matt?
She does.
The show you can watch. It's streamed right now live. If you Google 1490 or 1490 WBCB, it's also on 107.3 on the dial, but it's live streaming, so you can watch it as if you were watching the old Johnny Carson shows or Jimmy Fallon. This is the Today Show with Matt Weintraub, the Bucks County District Attorney. We're going to take a brief stop for a moment so that we can allow our sponsors to be recognized. One, namely Paul Muller, who does a terrific job for us. He's on vacation, well-deserved right now. He was golfing with Fred Buck, the vice president of the Phillies organization, on the Phillies alumni golf outing, which was just a couple days ago.
All the old-timers were back.
They were.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I asked him, I said, is Crocker going to be golfing? No, he wasn't golfing, and neither was many of our other celebrities that are out there that that stop in from time to time. But don't go anywhere. We're going to have much more for you to listen to understand, and appreciate more about the Bucks County District Attorney, his entire organization that keeps this county safe and secure. We'll return after a few moments and words from our sponsors.
We have something for everyone at Team Toyota. With used cars starting under $6,000, over 80 Toyota certified used vehicles, pre-owned trucks, vans, SUVs, hybrids, and more. And they all come with 1 year of complimentary maintenance and roadside assistance. Plus, you can shop completely online or in our safe and spacious showrooms for a comfortable and fast process that puts you in control. Visit teamtoyota.net and be safe, be strong, and be a team.
At St. Mary Medical Center, they're on a mission to help you live your healthiest life. Learn more about their advanced technology and innovative procedures, as well as the small steps you can take to be your healthiest self. Meet their highly trained physicians and skilled professionals. Count on St. Mary for experience, brilliant technology, and the most powerful medicine of all, simple human kindness. St. Mary Healthline every Wednesday at 9 a.m. on 1490 WBCB. When you want to relax, go to Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spas. They make relaxation affordable and convenient. Whether you want a rejuvenating massage or a refreshing facial, Hand and Stone is the place to go. Introductory massage or facials start at just $59.95. Visit handandstone.com or one of their 50 locations throughout southern New Jersey, Delaware, and Pennsylvania, including the Lehigh Valley.
For more than 125 years, the Philadelphia Protestant Home has been family to seniors living independently or in personal care and skilled nursing. PPH is a premier community for affordable, quality care and vibrant living. Through its Benevolent Care Fund, PPH also provides peace of mind security to eligible residents who no longer can afford their living expenses. PPH offers spacious studio 1 and 2 bedroom apartments with balcony, patio, and garden view options. Call now to schedule a tour, 215-697-8000, or visit us on the web at pphfamily.org. At PPH, we're family.
Are you still out there? Yeah, I can see them, Matt. They're watching the show.
That's good.
That's a good thing. Well, thanks for hanging in with us, because we're going to cover some other exciting segments of the responsibilities of our Bucks County District Attorney. And Matt, I know that we had some of your cases and investigations that are incredibly exciting to listen to, striking, poignant at times.
Yeah.
But let's cover a couple of them. Let's begin with the Cape May County, that New Jersey retrial, because I know there's a twist in this one.
There
as
is.
well.
There is. So some people know this, some people don't. I started my career in Bucks County as an assistant DA in 1993, which, geez,
Wow.
how about that? Almost 30
It's
years
almost 30
ago.
years.
That's crazy.
That's the experience that we have here in Bucks County.
Yeah, I've been in law enforcement for a long time, so I was there for a good number of years. Then I went to Lehigh County to the DA's office for about 5 years, and then down to Cape May County to the prosecutor's office for 5 years. And people always ask me, well, what's you come back for?
We need you back here.
Well, that's
the need.
Listen, this is my home. This is my home turf. I have a great sense of pride of place from being from Bucks County. And so when I had an opportunity to come back, my former boss and mentor, Dave Heckler, he lured me back, and I had a heart-to-heart talk with my wife and my kids. And my wife, certainly, she's been incredibly supportive. Kathleen, incredibly supportive, and said, yeah, let's try. Let's come back, and you can try your best to become the DA. There's nothing is promised.
You do it naturally.
Well, but I didn't know if I was going to actually become the DA, but It worked out, obviously. Here I am. But while I was in Cape May County, I had already had a lot of experience for a prosecutor. But I had to learn the lingo. I had to learn a different crimes code. Here it's called the Crimes Code. Title 18 in New Jersey, it's called the 2C, which is just the code name for it.
Sure.
And it was similar. I would liken it to learning like a different dialect of the same language. But I had to train and learn it, and picked it up quickly. And when they saw that I wasn't just, my resume wasn't fluff, that I really could handle some cases, then they started just pouring the cases.
Here they come.
Throwing them at me. And you could, depending on your perspective, fortunately or unfortunately, a lot of cases that are tried in New Jersey, criminal cases that result in convictions, come back on appeal. I can't understand the phenomenon. It doesn't happen as frequently in Pennsylvania. But in New Jersey, a lot of them come back, and you have to try them again, Tom.
Oh, God.
So this one particular case, that's what happened. The former prosecutor that had tried it and convicted this guy originally for raping his daughter was gone from the office. And I liken it, just to insert some levity, I liken it to that old Life cereal commercial where the two bosses are like, I'm not going to try it, you try it. I'm not going to try it, you try it. Hey, let's get
the
Mikey.
Life cereal.
Well, I'm Mikey in this this version.
The Life cereal commercial. Yeah, I remember.
New guy. So I get this case, and 10 years has gone by. This guy has actually served his entire sentence. He got 10 years. He was convicted. He got 10 years. But he still persevered in his appeal, and he was granted a new trial. So the complications with something like that are 10 years have gone by. You need to find the victim, see if the victim is still willing to testify, see if all the witnesses are still around. You need to read the whole old trial transcripts. It adds an extra level of complexity. In addition to it not being your case formerly, that adds yet another level of complexity because you have to put somebody else's shoes on, if you will, a little bit.
Sure.
And you're stuck with some of the decisions they made and certainly with the record. But anyway, this young lady who was a grown woman at this time, her name is Jessica, one of the bravest people I ever met. And just in a nutshell, Tom, this is crazy, and I could not explain it, Tom. When she was a very, very little girl, she was molested by her step-grandfather.
Jesus.
He went to jail. She was then molested by her father.
Oh.
The step-grandfather and the father were of the same age. So in other words, the father's mother married a younger man.
Yes.
And so I don't know if they were comparing notes or whatever. It's sick and twisted. I don't understand it,
Yes.
but that is nevertheless the case. So this young lady, when she was very young, when she was still a teenager, she was molested and she testified, and the guy got convicted. And there was sort of, it seemed to me, and I could never get a straight answer, that not the fix was in, but that they would agree to certain facts if the judge would agree to give a certain sentence. So the guy was still trying a defense, but the defense didn't work, and he was convicted, and he went to jail for 10 years. Well, he wasn't happy with that, so he appeals, and it comes back, and we have to find Jessica. Jessica is now a grown woman, and in the past 10 years, her entire family was against her. They sided with her dad.
Oh.
Like, why are you airing our dirty laundry? Why are you making this public? You're humiliating our family. You know, we don't believe you. But she was brave, and she went through it. But in order to preserve her family, and think about the psychology behind this, which is incredibly complex. Once she was safe from her dad, she then recanted. She recanted on paper or on record that he had ever molested her, because this was her way to get her family back to love her, because she knew she was safe. He was already in jail. She didn't understand that could ever be used against her. So sure enough, a new trial is granted, and we have to deal with this recantation. So the jury's going to hear
everything.
Yes.
all over again.
But in addition, that she recanted, saying that this never happened.
Oh, God.
Which is, you talk about, like, how do you win that case?
No, it's difficult.
But she was prepared to do it again. The guy would not take a plea, because at that point he had served 10 years, so we offered naturally, listen, just take the plea, no further penalty, you've served your 10 years, and you'll be convicted, but we can call it a day. Wouldn't do it. It's a trial.
Adamant.
It's a trial. So we go to trial. And the case goes pretty well. And usually in cases like that, there's rarely any supporting evidence. And the reason is because crimes of, and this is, people say this is a crime of sex, but really it's a crime of dominion and power. When a father does something like this to a daughter, it's to humiliate them. It's to maintain power and control. It's awful.
It's terrible.
And but it's always done in secret. They always shame their victims. They tell their victims, you can't tell anybody. If you do, I'll kill you, or if you do, I'll go to jail and you'll ruin the family, etc. And they're preying upon a young person.
Right. Very impressionable at the time.
And they don't want to ruin. They don't want to be the blame for ruining the family.
Of course.
And of course, it's not their fault, but
no.
They don't know that. Well, so this was all done in secret, except there was one time that her brother, who we described as an outside kid, he was always out hunting and fishing and riding his bike, was expected to be out of the house. He comes home, and he barges into the bathroom, and he sees the dad fully clothed and Jessica naked and crying.
Oh, boy.
So he doesn't see anything sexual happening, but he, it's like touching a live wire. And his testimony was very strong.
Wow.
Because there's no explanation for that, Tom.
No, there isn't. And what's he doing? Obviously, anybody would say, what's he doing in the bathroom?
So that, to me, kind of equalized her recantation. And we went through, and it was hard to make a jury who's just regular people understand why she would say this happened and then recant it, but now say it happened again. But so we had to explain all of that. You can't just go to the facts. You got to make people understand the psychology. But so the case goes pretty well. The defense attorney, for some reason, was super focused on me as opposed to the case. And I think that was a huge mistake that she made, because she had the winning formula. She had a recantation, for crying out loud. So at the end of my case, as you probably recall from your time as a police officer, the judge says, okay, in New Jersey, it's the state. Here it's a Commonwealth. He says, does the state have any other evidence? And I say, no, Judge. The state rests its case. All the evidence is put in. And at that time, they turn to the defense. And more often than not, Tom, it's my experience, the defense will rest. They won't put on any evidence or a case, because they'll feel like they created reasonable doubt. We haven't met our burden. We have to prove our case to the highest standard in all the land, which is beyond a reasonable doubt.
To get the guilt,
to get the conviction, yep. So he turns, and that's what happened in the first trial. So we had a blueprint, and if you could figure, she's not going to put on any evidence. Well, she thinks she's got us outsmarted. She immediately says to the judge, I call my client, the defendant, to testify. And now the jury's like, whoa,
not expecting this.
But you know who was? Me. I'm ready. You got to be ready.
That's right.
Right? Well, I shouldn't say I was expecting it, but I was prepared.
You were prepared.
So this guy had given some statements that were video recorded, and we still had them from 10 years ago.
Wow. And
there were no real smoking guns on there. He never confessed, but there's always a lot to work with, Tom, in a guy's own words. And so he takes the stand. He, of course, says he didn't do it. He didn't rape his daughter. And he was relatively prepared. But then it's time for cross-examination. And I just start in on him. And then the next thing that happens, it's only ever happened to me this one time. Because I'm not Perry Mason. This isn't TV. This is real life. But I got him going backwards and forwards and upside down and all. And it's very tough to beat an inquisitor, the guy asking the questions.
Yes.
And I had all this fodder from his prior interviews and from the testimony that went really well.
Sure.
So I say to him, well, how do you explain this? You were drunk. You say Jessica never lies. How do you explain all this? And he says, I'm 70% sure I didn't rape my daughter. Well,
what?
You're making that face. I made that face. The jury made that face. I still have pages and pages and pages to go, Tom.
That's incredible.
But they teach you, if you can, sit down and shut up.
Keep your composure, right?
Well, yeah, but that's like gold.
Oh,
so I do the quick math, and I ask one more question. I say, I'm doing the quick math. Does that mean that you're 30% sure you did rape your daughter? Now, he should have said, hell no. He said, yes.
Wow.
I'm like, you could have heard a pin drop.
No.
And I'm, you see me by now, I'm demonstrative. I'm looking over at the jury like,
did you hear that?
Yeah. I said, I don't have any more questions.
No. What else do you need?
Yeah. Now, I don't know if it's time for a break, but I got one more part of the story here. But that.
Are we okay? Breathe for a second. Good.
Well, keep going. Okay. So,
my God.
That was a bombshell. I mean, it was, to me, game, set, and match. But you never know, because there still was this recantation. Sure. And I got two two more parts here. So what happens is this defense attorney was making it personal with me. I don't know why, but she was. And so the trial was very, very contentious. And I believe you got to fight hard for your side, and she should fight hard. She's fighting for this guy's liberty. He deserves a defense. But she was making it personal. So in PA and in New Jersey, the prosecution closes last. So I usually let people get away with whatever they want.
Sure.
Because I know I get the last word. You say whatever you got to say, I'm going to have a comeback for it.
That's right, you will.
The more I let you get away with, the more I get to say in rebuttal. And it could be overconfidence, but it comes with experience. I mean, I'm very hard to stop.
Matt.
Yes.
Hold that.
All right.
We'll take a quick
All
break.
right.
I don't want to rush this.
No,
and then we'll start with the 70-30 and go right back into where you are now. This is Tom Mellon, and a great show once again with our district attorney, Bucks County District Attorney Matt Weintraub. Don't go anywhere. There's a lot more to hear about this case. I'm excited. You should be excited to hear the outcome here. We'll be right back.
We have something for everyone at Team Toyota. With used cars starting under $6,000, over 80 Toyota certified used vehicles, pre-owned trucks, vans, SUVs, hybrids, and more. And they all come with 1 year of complimentary maintenance and roadside assistance. Plus, you can shop completely online or in our safe and spacious showrooms for a comfortable and fast process that puts you in control. Visit teamtoyota.net and be safe, be strong, and be a team.
Hi, this is Dick Vermeil for Independence Blue Cross. In all my years of coaching football, I've seen some really good arms, but none better than the winning arms I've seen lately, helping us to beat COVID-19. Right now, there are many of us who are showing our arms and lining up for vaccinations. When your opportunity comes, be ready. It's safe, effective, and rigorously tested, a key in the game plan to defeat the virus. For more information, visit ibx.com.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Wayner Nationwide Insurance, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one-stop shop for all your shopping needs at Fairless Hills.
Attention, all BCWSA customers in Bucks, Montgomery, and Chester counties. No BCWSA customers will face a shutoff of their water or sewer services until July 20th at the earliest. CEO Benjamin Jones would like to assure all BCWSA customers that the guarantee of clean water and sewer service will continue uninterrupted during these difficult times. BCWSA. Proven.
Without further ado, we're going to get right back to Matt with this incredible case that was retried. Matt, should we begin with the 70%, 30% again?
Sure.
If someone lost the focus for a moment, Matt's going to bring you right back.
Oh boy, if I couldn't grab your attention with that, I don't know, but
Yeah.
I'll try. Okay, so
That's amazing.
the defendant, the doer, the rapist, is on the witness stand, and I just hammering away at him, and you get him up is down, left is right, whatever. Because my premise is the guy's lying.
Of course he is.
So the truth is easy to remember because there's only one version, really.
Yeah.
If you're lying, you got to remember what you said before, and you got to compensate, etc. So at one point, I say to him, "Your daughter Jessica, she says you did this. You raped her repeatedly for years, and but you also said in your statements that we have recorded that you were a blackout drinker, you don't remember a lot, and that your daughter Jessica never lied." And I said, if you add that together, how can you say that you didn't rape her? This is what she's saying, and you're blackout drunk. And he says, "I'm 70% sure I did not rape my daughter." He came up with this number. God only knows what put that in his head. And that was like the turning point in the case, because there was no real physical evidence. There was the brother, the son.
Well, circumstantial, and
Yeah,
the
and-
defense is probably like they can't believe what they're hearing.
And so what I should have done, of course, lawyers all believe their own press and we all think how great we are and keep asking questions even when we shouldn't. What I should have done is just sat the hell down. But what I did was did the quick math, and I knew this guy by now as we were talking off air. I could see how this guy's mind worked a little bit. So I did ask the proverbial one question too many, and by the grace of God, I got very lucky, and I said, quick math, so you're 30% sure you did rape your daughter? And he says, yes. Well, that's, the jury puts their figurative popcorn down. Their mouths are like, we're all stunned. And I'm looking at the jury like,
you heard that right.
This is crazy. The whole place is stunned. So that time, finally, I get smart enough and I just sit down. I'm like, no more questions. I cannot possibly do better than that.
How can you beat the top that?
So the case goes to conclusion. And as I was saying, for some reason, this defense attorney was focused on me. She took her eye off the ball. She had a winnable, defensible case, Tom. She had a recantation from the victim. But she was so worried about outplaying me, outsmarting me, outfoxing me, whatever, that she lost sight of the focus of the case, which was to give this guy a good defense. So now it's time to give a closing argument to the jury. And I think I was saying this off air, that my tactics, which not everybody agrees with, and I guess, but it shows you have to find your own true north. What works best for you might not work best for somebody else. And I hope I'm not getting rusty. I got another trial coming up in hopefully a few months. We'll see how it goes.
Yes.
But I'm gonna have help. I need help at this point. But I tend to let the defense really put their case on without a lot of interruption and objections from me.
Okay.
Number one, I think it shows the jury that I have confidence in my case. Number two, it shows the jury that I'm a fair person. I'm giving this guy full and fair defense. Bring it. Do what you got to do to defend yourself. If the evidence is there, the truth will come out. And
excellent strategy.
I think the jury always appreciates that. That comes with confidence, which comes with experience, because I find that the younger prosecutors tend to over-object. Even when they're right, even when they can make a real technical, correct objection, usually it's like, for what? You're just being disruptive. You're losing the flow of the case. You're not looking magnanimous to the jury.
Yeah.
And I think that can be negative. So this carries over into the closing arguments, too. First of all, I think it's bad form to object during a closing argument. This is this defense attorney, this advocate's opportunity to make their last passion plea to the jury for why they should acquit this defendant. Now, you may not want them to be acquitted, but you got to be fair. Let them have a shot.
Exactly.
And then tactically, the reason that I think that's important is because if I don't object during their closing, there's a fair expectation they're not going to object during mine. And then I let it rip. And if you remember how the rules of criminal procedure go in PA and in New Jersey, the DA, the prosecutor, goes last.
That's most effective.
You get the last word.
Of course you do.
So I'm saving it all up, taking notes, writing whatever I got to write, and then I call bringing the thunder.
Right.
You just
Here
throw
we go.
bombs. You throw bombs. So I never saw this before in my career. Now almost 30 years. She's done. It's my turn.
Right.
And the judge gives you a minute, just gather your thoughts. Maybe if there is evidence that you want to refer to, you can lay it out on your table so you can get ready to go. Or sometimes now we do a lot of visual presentations. I'm geared up. I'm ready. But in that 30 seconds, 2 minutes, the defense attorney, I never saw this before, gets up from her table and goes and sits with the jury, facing me with her notepad, with her pen. Like she doesn't want to miss anything, because normally my back would be to her because I'm addressing the jury.
Of course.
I never saw this before in my life.
Unprecedented. That's crazy.
So without blinking an eye, because that could rattle you. Or you could say, Judge, this is whatever.
Yeah.
That's
no,
not
you're
me.
not even focused with it. You
I'm
see
not
it,
phased.
I'm not phased.
But I say to the jury, you've seen the stakes are very high in this case. I'm trying to fight for justice for young Jessica. Miss Defense Attorney is trying to fight for justice for her client. The man's liberty is at stake. The stakes could not be any higher. You've seen how hotly contested this case has been. And hopefully you can forgive both of us because we are both fighting for a side that's very important.
Yes.
I say, but you'll notice that I did not object, not even once, during her closing argument. I wanted to, but I didn't do it. And that's because I understand how important this is for her and her client. And I only hope that she gives me the same courtesy. And I'm looking right at her when I say this. And she goes, she's like, hum, 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 hum. She closes her notepad. She puts her pen away. I'm like, I can't believe I just got her to do that. So
perfect.
She shouldn't have listened to me.
Right. But
so
she did.
I give the whole closing. And she's there not objecting. And I know she wants to. And I'm saying whatever comes to my mind, you know. And so the closing's over. It goes great, of course. And I have a lot of fodder. And the guy says he raped his daughter, which is horrible. I'm sorry. But
yeah.
So then at the end of the closings, the judge calls us both up. And he says, do you got either of you, and this is a formality, do either of you have anything you would like to put on the record? And I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good, Judge.
Pretty much covered everything you needed to cover.
Well.
That's for sure.
And she says, the defense attorney says, well, I have all these objections that I wrote down, but I didn't make during the prosecutor's closing. And the judge says, well, you should have made him when he was saying the stuff.
Why didn't you say something?
She's like, well, he said I was like, well, that was your chance.
Wow.
So none of her objections got on the record. None of them.
God.
It was crazy. It was crazy. I'm like, I can't believe that just worked. So then the jury goes out, and I mean, we're
how long did it? It couldn't have taken that long.
No, it was a good verdict, quick verdict. They come back guilty. And here's an even crazier part. So the guy, if you remember, he had served his sentence 10 years. And there is a principle in American jurisprudence, criminal jurisprudence, that you should not ever be penalized for taking an appeal, because it would chill people's instincts to appeal their case. Like if they felt like they were dealt wrongfully in a trial, you should have a right to appeal. You should. So there was some jurisprudence that said, look, if a guy appeals and he's unsuccessful and he's reconvicted, you shouldn't be able to sentence him to more time. You should not be able to. You're limited to that.
Of course.
But this is nuts. So the judge, he's convicted of everything.
Wow.
The judge reviews the old record, which the jury had they were not permitted to know there was another trial. They could know like another proceeding, you call it something, whatever. And we explained to the jury that the passage of time should not be held against either party. It's just something that happens. But that's a tough one too. That was another hurdle. So the judge is reviewing the old record, and he says, I don't have a choice here. For whatever reason, this wasn't a fix, but the unwritten agreement in the first one where the guy was going to get 10 years if he got convicted,
yes,
but have his right to appeal. That judge did not consider all of the factors that she was legally required to consider when imposing sentence. She glossed over some of them. So sure enough, this judge, who's by the book, considers all the things that he must consider and sentences for each crime that the defendant was convicted of, and gave him 15 years. So he served 10. He was out. He had to go back into jail.
For 5 more years.
5 more years.
Incredible.
And I don't feel bad about
Not
it
at
for
all.
1 second.
Not at all.
1 second.
And Jessica, God bless her for everything that she did. Now, with her recanting everything, obviously, what was the perspective of the judge, the jury?
They understood it.
They understood it.
She just wanted to be loved by her family.
Yes. So she knew that everyone knew why she made that statement.
But it was complicated to explain to a jury. It was complicated. But they got it. They got it. And that's part of the art of what we do, is trying to take complex psychology, complex cases, facts, and really break them down so that a regular person can understand them. And that's part of that we're experiencing, having to know people. Getting to know people really helps.
Matt, did you ever have an opportunity to get a perception of the family after this occurred?
Yeah, they were not forgiving of her.
Still, after all that she went through.
Yes. She had some strong support. She had found somebody that stood by her, like a boyfriend. Her brother always stood by her. But the rest of her family were not forgiving. It was heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
That would occur that way.
And it does happen sometimes where a boyfriend or a stepfather will molest, or even sometimes a husband or a father will molest a young child, and the mother will take the molester's side. It's not explicable. You would think all your motherly instincts would go against that.
Sure.
There are plenty of times where it does happen the way you expect, but
exactly.
We've come to just say you think you've seen everything, you've never seen it all.
An incredible story. Very similar to domestic cases, assaults.
You got it.
Where it's obvious that this woman is assaulted by a boyfriend or a husband, whoever it may be. Yet when it goes to the preliminary arraignment, charges, obviously have taken place, and she'll show up and be very supportive.
Yeah.
Of the assaulter.
Yep.
Very similar.
It is, and there's a lot of psychology behind that, unfortunately, but we see it all too often.
Incredible, Matt. What a striking story this has been. We're going to take a pause for a moment, and then we'll be right back with some other interesting aspects of Mr. Matt Weintraub's profession here as the Bucks County District Attorney.
We keep running out of time.
We run out of time. That's the only problem. But don't run out the door. We still have more to share with you on WBCB 1490 here, Justice for All, with our Bucks County District Attorney, Matt Weintraub. We'll be right back.
We have something for everyone at Team Toyota. With used cars starting under $6,000, over 80 Toyota certified used vehicles, pre-owned trucks, vans, SUVs, hybrids, and more. And they all come with 1 year of complimentary maintenance and roadside assistance. Plus, you can shop completely online or in our safe and spacious showrooms for a comfortable and fast process that puts you in control. Visit teamtoyota.net and be safe, be strong, and be a team.
At St. Mary Medical Center, they're on a mission to help you live your healthiest life. Learn more about their advanced technology and innovative procedures, as well as the small steps you can take to be your healthiest self. Meet their highly trained physicians and skilled professionals. Count on St. Mary for experience, brilliant technology, and the most powerful medicine of all, simple human kindness. St. Mary Healthline every Wednesday at 9 a.m. on 1490 WBCB.
Are you curious what old antiques, collectibles, or household contents are worth? Listen Friday mornings for What's It Worth with Mike the Appraiser, right here on 1490 WBCB.
Hey, this is Jonesy. Kick off your Thursday and Friday evenings in style. Join me for an eclectic freeform mix of the hits and beyond. It's a happening, a musical journey. It's the Glenn Jones Radio Experience, right here on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM. Thursday and Friday, 5 to 6 p.m., directly following the legendary Jerry Blavitt. Radio, the way it ought to be.
WBCB is now on your FM dial at 107.3. Serving Bucks, Burlington, and Mercer counties since 1958, you can now listen to all of your BCB favorites crystal clear on 107.3 FM. A new age for WBCB on a new frequency, 107.3.
Welcome back to Justice for All here at 746 East Lincoln Highway, the home of this wonderful show, sponsored by Paul Muller. Great guy, veteran, and he's on vacation. Well-deserved at the moment.
Well-deserved.
Yes, well-deserved is right. We have a lot more to discuss with you. Matt, there's one other, well, there's plenty others, but let's talk about the Lehigh County baby Michael case.
Yeah, when I prepare for these shows, Tom, I try to think of cases that illustrate justice in all its forms, and there are just some cases that really stick with you. I know we have 10 minutes here, so I'll give a condensed version, but when I left Bucks County and I went to Lehigh County, I actually took a detour for only 3 months in civil practice, and I just I still felt the passion, so I went to Lehigh County to be an assistant prosecutor, and I handled some tough cases there because Allentown could be a tough town.
Wow.
Yeah. So unfortunately, when I was there, it was a lot of murders, so I was handling a lot of those. But this case always stuck with me, and I refer to it as the baby Michael case. But it came to us through a young pregnant lady, a young pregnant girl. She was maybe 16. She was pregnant, and some neighbors in Slatington, which is all the way up there in Lehigh County, northern end of Lehigh County, said that there were some strange things going on in the apartment next door. That they could hear people in that apartment, but they only ever saw one man coming and going out of that apartment. But they could hear female voices and children's voices in there, but never would see a female or a child.
Boy.
Never. So finally, the police, they get a search warrant, or Children and Youth goes in because of their rules are a little more lax.
Sure.
Like if there's children at risk, they can go in, and they do, and they find this pregnant young lady, Dia, and she's 16. And also another lady who's an adult, but barely, maybe 19, Priscilla, but she has a 4-year-old. So, and the 4-year-old gets taken into Children Protective Services, and 16-year-old Dia, we start questioning her because she's pregnant. And she's totally street. She's like, bleep you, F you, I'm not talking, I'm tough, I'm street.
Rough around the edges.
Oh, yeah. And I was in for this because a 16-year-old, you can't get pregnant on your own. Someone's got to be a father. And doing the math, she would have been too young to perhaps have consented to that. So I will never forget this. Kevin Smith, he was a detective in Allentown. Big teddy bear of a guy. Great at his job. And it was me, Kevin, and Dia. We're in this room, and Dia's all tough and street, like, F you. And Kevin, just very soft voice, says, he starts out regular, name, rank, serial number, all that, and not getting anywhere with her. She's got this tough front.
Yeah, that wall's real strong.
And then he says, Dia, who is baby Michael? Man, I will never forget this. It was like all the air left the room. And she changed from this hardened street kid to this little girl. And she starts crying. And Kevin, Kevin and I are like pinching ourselves trying to. And she said, baby Michael was her son who died. Now she's 16 and pregnant now. She already had a son who died.
Oh, Jesus.
And that started the case. And so it was a man named Miguel Figueroa, and what he would do, I called him a breeder. And what he would do is he would find these runaways at the bus stop or on the corner or wherever. He would befriend them. He would get them to trust him. They didn't have a lot of love in their life. He would pretend to love them, and he would essentially make them his prisoners.
Sure.
And in this house was this Dia, this Priscilla. Priscilla's daughter, baby Michael, was born. And as it turns out, baby Michael, Miguel took Dia over to Warren County, New Jersey to have the baby because they didn't want to have any proof that baby Michael lived existing in Pennsylvania.
Jeez.
And Miguel would, and this is all historical, we never could find baby Michael. We never could find him. But as it was told to us from Dia and Priscilla, who still loved this guy but cooperated with us because she felt guilty.
Mm-hmm.
And this is that dichotomy, that psychological.
Of course.
They're torn. That he would not let baby Michael sleep. He would feed baby Michael water and not milk. He would put a chip clip on baby Michael's private so he wouldn't wet himself. And he was a little tiny baby.
Oh, God.
Till baby Michael died from failure to thrive. And the four of them, because Priscilla had a daughter too, all went to the Little Lehigh River. The girls waited in the car. Miguel took a cooler with the baby's remains in it and a shovel, went to the Little Lehigh River, and supposedly buried baby Michael by the river. So we get this information. We're pulling out all the stops. And God bless the coroner, Scott Grimm at the time, and all the Lehigh County people in the Allentown PD who were fantastic. They set up, it was a scene from a movie. I remember they set it up, and it was day and night they're digging. You have to dig painstakingly. They bring the cadaver dogs, and the dogs hit on the side of the riverbank. And they're digging painstakingly, and you see it's like illuminated at night with these shields, and that they finally catch Miguel Figueroa and arrest him for some of this. And I remember riding back because they caught him, and I was still living in Bucks County. And I drove all the way back and seeing this scene on the far riverbank. And we did not find baby Michael. I said, you know what we're going to do tomorrow? We're going to bring Miguel Figueroa down here, and we're going to walk him down here.
Absolutely.
So we did. He didn't crack. He would not help us. He would not cooperate. So now I'm like, what are we charging this guy with? I don't have no body, no job. You know that old saying, right?
Sure.
I mean, I don't have baby Michael.
Right. No
So
physical evidence at all.
we end up charging him with endangering the welfare of children for the rapes and assaults on Dee, because she was pregnant and had been twice. We charged him with all sorts of things. And it ended up being a full-blown trial. But I couldn't put the murder on. But there's no statute of limitations on murder.
Not for homicide, no.
And we did end up convicting him, but I'll never forget saying to that jury, the theme was, who will cry for baby Michael?
My God, how emotional that is.
He has no grave, no gravestone, nobody to grieve him, no epitaph, just a hole in the dirt by the river that we can't find.
Horrible.
The jury did convict him of every charge. He ended up getting something like 19 to 38 years, which is long, but not long enough.
Not long enough for the atrocities.
And I even, at the very end, I tried to talk to this guy, say, listen, you just tell us where baby Michael is. We'll give you some consideration in your sentence.
Yes. Nothing.
I got nothing to say to you. That always haunted me, and there's so much more
that
I could.
Yeah, and we're running out of time,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But once again, great stories, but there's a lot of pain and anguish and work involved, bringing people to accountability, which is most important. And Matt, you do it so well. You can see it, the sincerity, and I want to thank you again. Great show. We don't have much time, about 30 seconds maybe. As always, phenomenal show. Real quick, the new home of the Bucks County Tour of Honor right here. Paul Muller has, very graciously offered some space here, and the Bucks County Tour of Honor will now have this area where we can house our trailer, and there's a lot more that we can talk about with that. Golf outing was extremely successful, $23,000 raised for our military to, obviously give them what they deserve. The trips that we give them are just phenomenal. September 11th, the car show coming up. 215-768-6505. That's the number. Call that number for more information on how you would like to attend, or maybe spend some time contributing your time for this most worthwhile charity. That's coming up September 11th at Parks Casino. I'm Tom Mellon, your host for this wonderful show with Matt Weintraub, our Bucks County District Attorney. I want to thank you once again for joining us. We'll be back in 2 months with Matt. We got Fred Herron coming up next month.
Oh, he's a handful.
He's a handful. Behind the badge. Good way of putting it. And as I finish all my shows, Matt, please be safe, stay well, don't text while you drive. And Jerry, I'm a little busy, so Matt's coming home to walk the dog. Matt is coming home to walk the dog. Such a great guy, isn't he? He does everything. And most importantly, as I always say at the end of every show, Matt, God bless America.
God bless America.